Hello, and welcome to the guided project, Introduction to Basic Excel. My name is Summer, and I will be your instructor today. Currently, I work as a safety consultant for the K-12 industry. I have a passion for keeping my customers' data and information in an easy-to-read format. Excel has eased both my professional and private life. Being able to store and organize larger pieces of information to have as a ready reference makes keeping track of customers and even projects in day-to-day life so much easier. By the end of this project, you will learn how to create an Excel spreadsheet and use the data within your spreadsheet to analyze and organize your information for easy access. Excel is an electronic spreadsheet program that is used for storing, organizing, and manipulating data. Electronic spreadsheet programs were originally based on paper spreadsheets used for the accounting industry. As such, the basic layout of a computerized spreadsheet is the same as the paper ones. Related data is stored in tables, which are a collection of small rectangular boxes or cells organized into rows and columns. Due to its extreme versatility and power, Excel has become one of the most used software programs in the business world since its launch in 1985. Indeed, the personal computing renaissance of the 80s and 90s was largely driven by the many uses of Excel and other spreadsheet software. All versions of Excel and other spreadsheet programs can store several spreadsheet pages in a single computer file. The saved computer file is often referred to as a workbook, and each page within the workbook is called a separate worksheet. A spreadsheet is a database that allows you to organize your data and analyze for comparison any number of items you may need. You will be able to create a spreadsheet, format the information as you need, and create simple formulas to give you more in-depth information for the task at hand. Let's look at your completed spreadsheet and analysis so you get an idea of what we are going to accomplish. In this guided project, you will create a spreadsheet of information from scratch, use formulas to answer simple questions, and assist in some decision making. Let's say you work for a company known as the Acme Company. Your company is getting ready to move a large group of staff from one office to another. You're going to have different needs for each department to help them move, multiple floors, and needs to provide precise directions to the movers to make it a seamless move. A spreadsheet allows you to take that database information and be able to use formulas to answer simple questions your movers may have. So let's get started. First of all, let's begin with making sure you have a copy of Microsoft Excel. If you already have Excel loaded on your computer, please open that program now. If you do not have the Excel program, please go to the following webpage to obtain a free copy. The webpage is www.microsoft.com/en/Microsoft-365/free-office-on-line-4-the-web. This allows you to sign up for free. At the website, click on the sign up for free button and pause the video until you complete the sign up and then restart your video. Now that you have your session and ready for Excel, you should be at the Excel Start screen. Once you're there, locate and select a blank workbook. This is what this will look like. It will be new. Click on that. Once you do that, this will allow you to access the Excel interface. When you look at the Excel screen, you see a rectangular table or grid of rows and columns. The horizontal rows are identified by numbers, 1, 2, 3, etc., and the vertical columns by letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, etc. For any column that goes beyond the number 26, columns are then identified by 2 or more letters, such as column AA, AB, AC, or even AAA, AAB, etc. The intersection point between a column and a row is the small rectangular box. known as a cell. The cell is a basic unit for storing data in the worksheet, and because each worksheet contains millions of these cells, each one is identified by its cell reference. A cell reference is a combination of the column letter and the row number, such as A3, B6, and even AA345. In these cell references, the column letter is always listed first. This concludes this task. If you need additional time to complete this task, please pause the video now. Congratulations! In this task, we learned what Excel is used for, downloaded a free copy of Microsoft 365 Excel, and have a blank spreadsheet ready for data entry. We identified the naming of the columns, rows, and cells. In the next task, we will learn the parts of the Excel window and how to navigate them. Welcome back. In the last task, we downloaded and opened a blank spreadsheet and identified the major parts of the spreadsheet. In this task, we'll begin to look at the layout and functionality of the ribbon for Excel, so we can start building our own database. Some parts of the Excel window, like the ribbon or the scroll bars, are features that we see in other Microsoft programs. However, there are other features that are more specific to spreadsheets, such as the formula box, the name box, and the worksheet tabs. So let's get started. You should have the blank spreadsheet open. Let's look at the ribbon along the top of our spreadsheet. The ribbon along the top contains all the commands you will need to perform common tasks within Excel. It has multiple tabs, each with several groups of commands. We'll not learn all of these in this section, but we'll begin to assist you in recognizing the most common. Let's start with the first tab, File. Click on File in the upper left-hand corner and find Save As. This is going to show us how we save a copy of our worksheet so that we can always have it readily available. Once we click Save As, we're going to click Save As again. We'll find the folder in which we'd like to save the documents and hit Save. When we hit Save, we want to name our file, and we always want to remember when you name something, let it give you an idea of what information is contained in the database so it can make it easier for you to find the information when you need it. Since our example that we'll be working on is a move, let's call it Acme Company Move. Once you have typed in that name, simply click Save. Once that is saved, you'll notice that it will come up here and that spreadsheet's name will appear right where it's at. Now your file is saved. One thing to remember, it is important to save your work periodically to make sure something should happen, such as a power outage, you do not lose your data. The next part of the ribbon we want to look at is the Home tab. For this course, this is the main tab we'll be using for formatting. Many buttons on the Home tab will be similar to others in Microsoft Office products, such as Word, PowerPoint, etc. But buttons such as Paste, Cut, Copy are self-explanatory. You can also change the size and type of the font in which you're working with, located in this box here. As you can see from the list, there's many fonts that are available in the drop-down screen, with your two most used fonts are being Arial and Calibri. For this exercise, we are going to be using one of the most common, Calibri. So please click on that if it's not already done so. Once you change and decide on your font, you can also choose the size. You can control the size of your font by using the drop-down box next to the font type, as seen here. For this exercise, we will be using an 11 font. If you are not on this, please use the drop-down and choose this option. If you need more time, pause the video and restart when ready. Next, let's look at the name box located directly here. The name box displays the location or name of a selected cell in which your cursor is currently located. This allows you to know where you are in the spreadsheet at any time. It allows you to move to change cells by manually typing in the location you wish to move to. So for example, I can come down here and click on column B, row 9, cell B9, or I can actually, from here, type in B9. And when I hit enter, my cell location will automatically move. Okay. Next, we want to look at the scroll bar on the right-hand side. The scroll bars allows you to scroll up and down or side to side. To do this, click and drag the vertical or horizontal scroll bar, and it will move you throughout your worksheet. Left to right, up and down. Finally, next we'll look at being able to zoom in and out, making the writing in each cell larger for better visibility if needed. Below is a slider that shows you what percentage that you are at. Currently now we are at 100%. All you need to use is the plus or the minus. As you notice, clicking the plus, the number is going up. At 150%, this is the size of the cell that we have. If we wish to go back to 100%, which is what we will be using for this activity, then please use the minus number 2. This allows you to go down to very, very minute numbers. This is not always the best idea, as it is not the most visible, and most people stay at 100%. Finally, we want to look at the worksheets themselves. These are listed at the bottom of the spreadsheet in the front of. Excel files are called workbooks. The entire workbook, known as Acme Company Move 1 that we created, is our workbook. Within that, you can have one or more actual worksheets. The default on the worksheet is sheet 1. Next to that, you will see a plus sign. When you click on that, it immediately adds in an additional worksheet. Sheet 2 and sheet 3. For this exercise, we will need 3 worksheets. So go ahead and add in, using the plus sign, those worksheets. If you need additional time, pause the video and restart when you are ready. You can always add additional sheets, and the number is not a limited number. So remember, you have as many as you need. Now we want to name our sheets so that we can keep track of each of the 3 buildings we're moving for Acme Company. On sheet 1, what we're going to do to name it is you're going to go down, highlight sheet 1, and double click with your mouse. Once you do, the box comes up and it's asking you, what do you wish to rename your sheet to? At this point, we're going to be calling this corporate, as this will reflect the move information for our corporate office. Once you type that name in, you click OK, and you'll notice it's no longer labeled sheet 1, it's now called corporate. We're going to do the same to sheet 2. Double click on the sheet, and this time we're going to be naming this Annex 1 because this is the Annex 1 building that we are moving to. Finally, we would like for you to name your sheet 3, and we like that to be called Annex 2. Once we do that, we'll be able to have all of our worksheets named. This concludes the task. If you need additional time to complete this task, please pause the video now. Congratulations. In this task, we saved our workbook for easy location and identified the parts of the spreadsheet. We also began to organize our data by naming our worksheets for easy access. In the next task, we'll begin inputting data into each worksheet. Welcome back. In the last task, we saved our workbook for easy access and named our worksheets to start organizing our data. In this task, we'll begin to enter our data into our workbook so we have all information located in one space. So let's get started. You should have your workbook open named Acme Company Move, and with your worksheets named across the bottom, Corporate, Annex 1, and Annex 2. Now we're going to start with entering our data. Remember, data within Excel can be anything from numbers, text, dates, and time. Let's start with getting our data entered. But before we do, let's take a moment and look at some of the most used keys on our keyboard when doing data entry into Excel. When doing data entry, you don't want to have to click on a cell, type in the information, and then click on the next cell. This becomes very cumbersome when you have large amounts of data to enter into your worksheets. So now we're going to go over a few things that can kind of help you. One of the first keys that we like to talk about is the tab key. The tab key is located on the left-hand side of your keyboard. Tab allows you to move from one cell immediately to the right of that cell as seen here. It also allows you that you're able to go in reverse if necessary, simply by hitting Shift and the tab key at the exact same time as seen here. Next is you might want to use the Enter key. Enter allows you to move down in a vertical pattern from one row to the next row as seen here. It immediately takes you to the cell in which your cursor is on currently. The next way is you can also go back up using the same Shift and Enter as seen here. And then finally, you have your arrow keys. The arrow keys allows you to move in all directions. So for example, your down arrow key will move you down in the direction from the cell that you're on. Your right arrow key will move you to the right. Your up arrow key will move you up, and your left arrow key will move you to the left. So now that we have some of these shortcut keys that allows you to move about things freely, let's get started with actually entering our data. What I'd like for you to do is click on Annex 2 to make sure we're going to start with that as our data entry point. You'll always know which worksheet you are located on by the green line underneath the name of your worksheet. So in this case, Annex 2 should have this green line underneath it. Click on the worksheet and go to A1. Double click on that so you can start typing. In this cell, what I'd like you to put right now is to type the word name and hit Tab. Next, we're going to do boxes. Hit Tab. Next, we're going to do date of move and hit Tab. And then finally, we're going to type the word cube. What we've done here is created data for our headers. These allow us to know what type of information will be located in that column going down. This allows you to readily identify your information. Once you are completed, the next thing we're going to do is finish the data entry on our spreadsheet. When you are done, your Annex 2 spreadsheet should look the same as this one here. As you see, we have names, number of boxes, the date of our move, and our cube numbers located in here. Go ahead and enter in the data as you see here. If you need additional time, please hit pause and resume the video when you're ready to move on to the next step. Now that we've created our data within Annex 2, we're now going to create the data, same thing in Annex 1. When you click over on the Annex 1, make sure our green line signals that we are on that worksheet, and you're going to repeat the same name, boxes, date of move, and cube at the top headers, and then proceed to data enter the information as you see here. If you need additional time to complete this process, please feel free to pause the video and resume when you are ready. Finally, we're going to do the same thing with corporate, only this time you're going to have name, boxes, date of move, and office. Once you have that, please enter all the data that's down below. And if you need more time, please feel free to pause the video and return when you are ready. Congratulations! In this task, we created our spreadsheet and used it as a database and started to enter our data for each building included in our move. In the next task, we'll take the data we created, use basic formulas to analyze the data and answer questions that we may have. Welcome back. In the last task, we created the database we needed for the Acme Company move and separate the information by each location and by each employee's name. In this task, we'll take the information we have created and use formulas on each worksheet to see how many boxes we need to order for each location to facilitate the move. Formulas are the heart and soul of Excel. Formulas are what make Excel so powerful and practical. There are a lot of formulas that can be used within Excel, but beginners need to get the basics down first before they can move forward. Excel formulas can be extremely complicated, but if you need it for daily use with simple spreadsheets, you don't need to be intimidated by it at all. So let's get started. You should have your workbook, Acme Company Move, opened. Go to Annex 2 and click on the worksheet if you're not already on it. Now we need to do some analysis to make sure we have all the boxes we need for this move. Let's create a formula in column B to see the total number of boxes we need for this location. Go to the first cell that is empty within column B. You should be clicking on cell B9. Remember, you can use your arrow key to get there, or you can click on the empty cell with your mouse. You should end up finally on cell B9. Then using your mouse, double click on that cell so that you can enter the formula in. Once you can type, please enter the following: equal signs. Then what we need you to do is click on cell B2 and then hit the plus sign. Next, we'll have you repeat this process, going down, hitting each cell and plus sign till all of them are included in your formula as seen here. Once you have all cells included, the last step, instead of plus sign, go ahead and hit enter. This will in turn calculate the number of boxes you need. You've just done your first formula. You're going to keep repeating those formulas on Annex 2, and then once you do, we're going to move over to Annex 1. If you need additional time, please pause the video and start it back up when you are ready. Now we're going to move over to Annex 1 and complete the same process. What we're going to do is find that first empty cell in the column that we wish to find the information. In this case, we need number of boxes. We would click on the appropriate cell, which would be B9, and we begin to type our formula, equals, and then click on the cell and start adding them into each other to create that formula, as seen here. If you do that correctly, you should have 37 boxes are created for Annex 1. Now that you've done that, please create the same formula and do the same for corporate, getting the number of boxes that you've used in each of the other worksheets. If you need some additional time, please stop the video and resume when you are ready. Once you complete that formula, you should see that we need 91 boxes to complete the move for the corporate building alone. Next, we can come up with the total amount of boxes the Acme Company will need for the move. In this case, we will need to work with all three worksheets that we have. Go to the corporate worksheet and click on cell B18, located directly here. Now what we would like to do is always remember, when creating a formula, you always start with the equal sign. Once we do that, we're then going to go ahead and click on the final total of boxes that we needed for corporate at this time, such as this. Finally, we're going to hit plus. To get the information from the additional worksheets, we're going to click on each one directly. Once we have the plus sign, click on Annex 1. Click on the cell with the total number of boxes for Annex 1. And then hit the plus sign again. And repeat the process with Annex 2. Once you have that last Annex 2 number in, hit enter. If you need time to complete the formula, feel free to pause the video and return when you're ready. Once you complete your formula, the final total number of boxes the Acme Company will need for their move is 169 if you did this correctly. The formula here is done with addition, but remember, we can use any mathematical formula that we need, such as addition being the plus sign, subtraction is the minus sign, the division is the backslash sign, and multiplication would be used as the asterisk. I encourage you to play with the formula we set up and try each function to get familiar with it. The format always stays the same. In the action of adding, subtracting, dividing, and multiplying would be the only difference that you would need. Congratulations, you've now concluded this task. If you need additional time to complete this task, or you want to play with the formulas and check your abilities again, feel free to do so. In this task, we created simple formulas to allow you to get a final count of boxes needed to assist each building of Acme Company's move, along with a multi-worksheet formula to know the number of boxes needed for the company move as a whole. In the next task, we'll learn how to format our information to make the data ready for presentation. Welcome back. In the last task, we used the spreadsheet we created to determine the number of boxes each building needed for the Acme Company move and the total boxes needed for the entire move. In this task, we'll take the database we have created and use some formatting to make the information a little easier to read. Let's start. You should have your workbook Acme Company Move open. Go to Annex 2. Click on that worksheet if you're not already on it. Now we need to make some changes to the spreadsheet so that anyone, such as the moving company reading this, can understand exactly what they are looking at. So for example, let's go ahead and bold our headers. To do this, you're going to click on the number 1, which will then in turn highlight the entire row. On the Home tab, you'll see this capital B. That B stands for bold. Go ahead and click on that. You'll notice the change in the font has now become bolded. So next, we're also going to underline these phrases so that they know these are the header rows and this is the information they should be looking at. In this case, you'll see these 3 dots, and when you move your cursor over, it says More Font Options. Go ahead and single click on these 3 dots. You'll see choices between there. We're going to use underline. Click on underline. And now you'll notice that these are underlined and more readily visible as a header to our row. Next, we're going to be able to maybe create this so that it's a little easier to read. If we look at column C, the dates of the move is now not easy to read and date of move is not cut off. We need to auto format our columns so that they're the appropriate size and all of the information is visible when reading the spreadsheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the entire spreadsheet by clicking up here in this corner. When you do, you'll notice the entire spreadsheet has now been highlighted. You're going to take your cursor and you will move it till it becomes a kind of a barbell looking thing in between A1 and AB. When you see that, you double click and this will automatically format to the right width for each of your columns based upon the information that is in there. So as you can see, boxes in cube are smaller than say the name and the date of the move, simply because the information in those cells are not as large. The next step to make things a little easier to read to the eye is we're going to add borders to the information that we have. So in this case, we're going to click on A1. And while we're there, we're going to hold the left button down of our mouse, drag it completely over to the last column we have data, and all the way down to the last column row that we have all the information for all 4 columns. Once we do that, we're going to go back up to the ribbon. Next to the B, you'll see borders. We'll click on the drop down or the caret, and you'll see there are many options of what we could do. In this case, we're going to provide all borders. Click on that, and now the borders are completely taken into breaking up the data and making it a little easier on the eyes. Now that we have Annex 2 done, let's go and do the same process we did with Annex 1. Click on Annex 1. First thing we're going to do is we're going to bold our header names. We highlight that row, go up here to the ribbon, find B for bold, and click. Next thing we're going to do to signify that it is actually a header, we're going to underline that information. We're going to go to more font options, click underline, and all things are underlined. Next, we want to make sure that all information can be visible in the columns. We're going to highlight our entire worksheet by clicking right here. And as we click right there, we're going to take our cursor, create the little dumbbell in between, and double click quickly. And at this point, it will auto format to the appropriate width of the columns that we need. And then finally, we're going to repeat our process by adding borders on. Since we've already used the all borders once, it defaults to that. We'll click on that, and the same thing will be added. Easy to read. If you need time to do this, go ahead and pause the video and restart it when you're ready. And then after this, we're going to do the corporate. Go into corporate and do the same process. Again, if you need additional time, please stop the video and resume when you're ready. Once you've completed the corporate, it should look just as the following. Now, as you can see on each tab, it's very easy to read and know what information we were looking for. This allows us and everyone else to be able to read the database of information that we have with no additional information. I encourage you to play with the borders, the font options, and see what other things you can do. The more comfortable you get with making these changes, the easier it will be. Congratulations on completing Getting Started with Microsoft Excel. You've learned how to create your own workbook and worksheets. You started to learn how to use the navigation and ribbon of the program. You know how to format your data to make it easier to read and create basic formulas to begin to analyze your data. You can start using Excel even in your daily life to keep up your skills. Items such as your own family move or vacation items that need to be packed, inventory of your pantry staples, or bills that need to be paid for the month. Anything that can be used as a list can be used with Excel.